AITA for uninviting my brother for my wedding after he proposed to his GF at my engagement party. You know that moment when someone hijacks your special day and turns it into their own personal stage? Well, buckle up because this story is about to take you on a wild ride of family drama, stolen spotlights, and the sweetest revenge you'll ever hear. My brother thought he could propose to his girlfriend at my engagement party without consequences, but let me tell you, karma has a way of showing up when you least expect it. This isn't just another family drama story. This is about boundaries, respect, and what happens when someone crosses the line one too many times. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll be cheering for the choices I made. Let me set the scene for you because context matters here, and you need to understand the full picture of what went down. My fiancé Jake and I had been dating for 4 years, and when he finally proposed on a beautiful autumn evening by the lake where we had our first date, I was over the moon. We decided to throw an engagement party to celebrate with our closest family and friends, and I spent weeks planning every single detail to make it perfect. I'm talking about custom invitations, a gorgeous venue, catered food, a live band, and decorations that looked like they came straight out of a Pinterest board. This wasn't just some casual backyard barbecue. This was a carefully orchestrated celebration of our love and commitment to each other. Now, let me introduce you to my brother, Derek, who has always had this weird need to be the center of attention in every single situation. Growing up, Derek was the golden child who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes, while I was always expected to be understanding and accommodating of his needs. If Derek wanted the bigger piece of cake, I had to share. If Derek needed money for his latest business venture that would inevitably fail, our parents would guilt me into helping him out. This pattern of putting Derek first had been the story of my entire life, and honestly, I was exhausted from always being expected to play second fiddle to my brother's ego. Derek had been dating his girlfriend, Melissa, for about 8 months when my engagement party rolled around, and their relationship was rocky at best from what I could see. They fought constantly, broke up, and got back together every other week, and frankly, none of us in the family thought they'd last much longer. But apparently, Derek had other plans that he didn't bother to share with anyone beforehand. The engagement party was absolutely beautiful. About 80 guests filled the elegant garden venue. Champagne was flowing, and everyone was having an amazing time celebrating Jake and me. I remember feeling so happy and grateful, thinking this was finally my moment to shine after years of being in Derek's shadow. Then, right in the middle of the toasts, Derek suddenly stood up with a microphone he'd somehow gotten hold of and asked everyone for their attention. At first, I thought he was going to give a sweet brotherly toast, maybe share some embarrassing childhood stories or wish as well. But no, this man actually got down on one knee, pulled out a ring, and proposed to Melissa right there in front of everyone at my engagement party. The room went completely silent, and I watched in absolute horror as my special moment was literally stolen from me in real time. Melissa said yes, obviously, caught up in the moment, and suddenly half the guests were congratulating them while the other half looked around awkwardly, unsure of how to react to this massive social faux pas. I was absolutely furious, but I'm not the type to cause a scene in front of 80 people, so I held it together for the rest of the night. Jake was equally upset, but he squeezed my hand and whispered that we'd deal with it later because he didn't want the evening to be completely ruined by confrontation. After most of the guests had left, I pulled Derek aside and asked him what on earth he was thinking hijacking our engagement party for his own proposal. His response was infuriating. He claimed it would be romantic and special to propose at a celebration of love and that I should be happy for him instead of being selfish. Can you believe the audacity of calling me selfish when he's the one who crashed my party? The conversation got heated quickly, and our parents, who had witnessed the whole thing, immediately jumped to Derek's defense as usual. My mom said I was overreacting and that it was actually sweet that Derek wanted to share such an important moment with the family. My dad chimed in saying that families should support each other and that I was being petty by making a big deal out of it. Neither of them seemed to grasp that Derek literally stole the spotlight on what was supposed to be my special day, and their automatic defense of him was just par for the course in our family dynamic. I left the party feeling absolutely crushed, and Jake spent the entire ride home trying to calm me down while also being visibly angry himself. We talked for hours that night about what had happened, and Jake said something that really stuck with me. If he can't respect your boundaries now, he won't respect them at the wedding either. That statement hit me like a ton of bricks because I realized Jake was absolutely right. This wasn't just about one thoughtless moment. This was about a lifetime pattern of Derek taking what he wanted without any consideration for others, especially me. The next morning, after a sleepless night of tossing and turning, I made a decision that I knew would cause massive family drama, but felt necessary. I called Derek and told him that he was uninvited from my wedding and that if he couldn't respect me enough to let me have my own engagement party, then he didn't deserve to be there for my actual wedding day. Derek completely lost it on the phone, calling me every name in the book and insisting that I was being a bridezilla over something that wasn't even a big deal. He said I was ruining his happiness and punishing him for trying to celebrate love, completely missing the point that his celebration came at the expense of mine. Within an hour of that phone call, my phone started blowing up with messages from family members. My mom called crying, saying I was tearing the family apart and that I'd regret this decision for the rest of my life. My dad sent a long text about how family is forever and weddings are just one day, so I should reconsider because Derek is my only brother. Aunts, uncles, and cousins all started weighing in with their opinions, most of them siding with Derek and my parents because they'd all witnessed years of me being the flexible one who always accommodated Derek's needs. But here's where the story gets interesting and where my revenge really starts to take shape in a way I never expected. Jake's family, who were absolutely wonderful people, were completely supportive of my decision to uninvite Derek from the wedding. Jake's mom actually said she would have done the same thing, and his dad called Derek's behavior classless and disrespectful. Their support gave me the courage to stand firm in my decision despite the family pressure mounting against me. I wasn't backing down this time, no matter how many guilt trips my parents tried to lay on me. About 2 weeks after the engagement party disaster, I got a call from Melissa, Derek's now fiancée, which completely surprised me. She apologized profusely for what happened, saying she had no idea Derek was planning to propose at my party and that if she had known, she would have stopped him. Melissa told me she felt awful about the whole situation and understood why I was upset, which was honestly refreshing after dealing with my family's complete dismissal of my feelings. She said Derek had spun the story to make it seem like I was just jealous of their relationship, which made my blood boil all over again. During that conversation, Melissa revealed some information that honestly made me see the whole situation in a completely different light. She told me that Derek had been planning to propose for a while, but kept putting it off because he couldn't afford the kind of ring and proposal he wanted. When he found out about my engagement party with all its elaborate decorations and beautiful setting, he decided it would be the perfect opportunity to propose without having to spend money on his own setup. Can you believe that? He literally used my expensive engagement party as a free venue for his own proposal because he was too cheap to plan his own moment. This revelation made me even more justified in my decision to uninvite him, and I shared this information with Jake, who was absolutely disgusted. We started planning our wedding with renewed determination, deciding that it was going to be absolutely perfect and completely Derek-free. I hired a security team to make sure Derek couldn't crash the wedding, and I made it clear to all vendors and the venue that he was not welcome under any circumstances. Some people might think that's extreme, but after the engagement party incident, I wasn't taking any chances with my actual wedding day. As the months went by and wedding planning continued, the family drama didn't let up at all. Derek and my parents kept trying different tactics to get me to change my mind about uninviting him. First, they tried guilt by sending old family photos and talking about how sad it would be to not have him in the wedding pictures. Then they tried anger, with my dad threatening to not walk me down the aisle if Derek wasn't invited. I told him that was fine, and that Jake's father had already offered to step in if needed, which apparently shocked my dad into backing off that particular threat. My mom even went so far as to try to negotiate a compromise where Derek could attend the ceremony but not the reception, or vice versa. I shut that down immediately because there was no compromise to be made here. Derek had crossed a line, and there were consequences for his actions. Jake's support throughout all of this was absolutely incredible, and it really showed me that I was marrying the right person who would always have my back against anyone, including my own family. About 4 months before the wedding, something happened that completely changed the dynamic of the entire situation. Derek and Melissa broke up, and according to family gossip, it was a pretty ugly breakup involving cheating accusations on both sides. Suddenly, the proposal that Derek had made at my engagement party meant nothing, and the ring he'd given Melissa had been thrown in his face during their final fight. My mom called me in tears, saying that Derek was heartbroken and that maybe now I could forgive him and invite him to the wedding so he'd have something positive to look forward to. I couldn't believe the audacity of that request. My mom actually thought Derek's breakup was a reason to forgive him for ruining my engagement party. I told her absolutely not, and that if anything, the breakup proved my point that his relationship wasn't stable enough to warrant hijacking my special moment in the first place. The fact that his engagement had fallen apart didn't erase what he did to me, and I wasn't going to reward his bad behavior just because he was now suffering the consequences of his own poor choices. The wedding day finally arrived, and it was absolutely magical from start to finish. The venue was decorated even more beautifully than the engagement party had been, with thousands of flowers, twinkling lights, and elegant details everywhere you looked. Jake looked incredibly handsome in his custom suit, and I felt like a princess in my dream wedding dress that had taken months to design and create. Jake's father walked me down the aisle with tears in his eyes, and it was actually more meaningful than if my own dad had done it, because I knew Jake's father truly supported our relationship and respected our boundaries. The ceremony was perfect, with personalized vows that had everyone crying happy tears, and the reception was an absolute blast, with amazing food, an incredible band, and a dance floor that stayed packed all night. Not once did I think about Derek or wish he was there. Instead, I was surrounded by people who genuinely loved and respected Jake and me, and who would never dream of trying to steal our spotlight. My friends gave beautiful toasts, Jake's sister sang a song she'd written for us, and we danced our first dance to a live orchestra version of our favorite song. But here's where the revenge part really comes full circle in the most satisfying way possible. About a month after our wedding, I got a message from Melissa asking if we could meet for coffee, and curiosity got the better of me, so I agreed. When we met up, she apologized again for the engagement party incident and told me that breaking up with Derek was the best decision she'd ever made. She said that after the proposal, Derek's true colors really started to show. He was controlling, selfish, and expected her to cater to his every whim while contributing nothing to the relationship himself. Melissa then told me something that absolutely floored me and made me realize how perfectly everything had worked out. She said that at my engagement party, before Derek proposed to her, he had actually been planning to ask me to loan him money for a ring and proper proposal. When I was too busy hosting the party to talk to him privately, he decided on the spot to propose right then and there using a ring he'd bought with his credit card, figuring the romantic setting would pressure Melissa into saying yes even though their relationship was struggling. The entire proposal was basically a last-ditch effort to save a failing relationship by making a grand gesture he couldn't afford. This information validated every single feeling I'd had about Derek's proposal being inappropriate and self-serving. He didn't propose at my engagement party because he was so overcome with love that he couldn't wait. He did it because he was too cheap and lazy to plan his own moment, and he thought he could manipulate both Melissa and the situation to his advantage. The fact that his relationship fell apart shortly after just proved that grand gestures mean nothing without genuine respect and commitment backing them up. I shared all of this with Jake, and we both marveled at how differently our lives had turned out compared to Derek's. While he was single, in debt from that expensive ring, and still living with our parents at 32 years old, Jake and I were happily married, living in our first home together, and planning our future with excitement. Our wedding had been everything we dreamed of and more, completely unspoiled by Derek's presence, and we had photos and memories that we'd treasure forever without any bitter reminders of family drama. The best part of this whole revenge story is that I didn't have to actively do anything to Derek to get payback. His own actions and choices led to his downfall all by themselves. By standing firm on my boundary and refusing to let him attend the wedding, I protected what should have been the happiest day of my life from being tainted by his attention-seeking behavior. Meanwhile, Derek's impulsive proposal at my engagement party led to an engagement that fell apart, left him financially stressed, and showed everyone in the family his true character when his relationship crumbled. My relationship with my parents is still strained, but honestly, that's on them for consistently choosing to enable Derek's bad behavior instead of holding him accountable. Jake and I have built our own chosen family with his relatives and our close friends who actually respect boundaries and celebrate our happiness without trying to make everything about themselves. I've learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's living well and refusing to let toxic people dim your light. Looking back on everything that happened, I don't regret uninviting Derek from my wedding for even a single second. That decision protected my mental health, my marriage, and my special day from being contaminated by someone who has never learned to respect other people's moments. Some family members still think I was too harsh, but those same people have spent their whole lives enabling Derek's selfishness, so their opinions don't carry much weight with me anymore. The moral of this story is simple but powerful. You teach people how to treat you by what you accept. For years, I accepted being second to Derek, accommodating his needs and letting him take whatever he wanted without consequences. The engagement party proposal was the final straw that made me realize I deserved better, and uninviting him from the wedding was my way of finally standing up for myself and my relationship. Sure, it caused family drama and hurt feelings, but protecting my peace and my marriage was worth every uncomfortable conversation and guilt trip. To anyone out there dealing with family members who constantly overstep boundaries and steal your spotlight, let this be your sign to stand firm in protecting your special moments. You don't owe anyone access to your life, your celebrations, or your happiness, especially if they've proven they can't be trusted to behave respectfully. Real family supports you, celebrates you, and would never dream of hijacking your important moments for their own gain. And if your blood relatives can't do that, then build yourself a chosen family who will. Jake and I are coming up on our first anniversary now, and our marriage is stronger than ever because we built it on a foundation of mutual respect and firm boundaries. We've talked about starting a family soon, and I already know that Derek won't be playing the uncle role because I'm not exposing my future children to his toxic behavior and narcissistic tendencies. My parents are disappointed about that too, but they made their choice to continue enabling Derek instead of holding him accountable, and choices have consequences for everyone involved. So, was I wrong for uninviting my brother from my wedding after he proposed at my engagement party? Absolutely not, and I'd make the same choice 1,000 times over. Some people might call me petty or unforgiving, but I call it self-respect and boundary setting. Derek had countless opportunities to apologize genuinely, take accountability for his actions, and show some personal growth, but instead, he doubled down on his entitlement and played the victim. That tells me everything I need to know about his character and confirms that keeping him away from my wedding was the right call. If you've stuck with this story all the way to the end, thank you for listening to my journey of standing up for myself and getting the sweetest revenge possible. A beautiful wedding day completely free of drama, and a happy marriage built on respect and love. Remember that you deserve to have your moments honored and celebrated without someone trying to steal your thunder. And it's okay to cut people off who refuse to respect that, even if they're family. Life is too short to let toxic people ruin your special days, and sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is the peace that comes from setting firm boundaries and sticking to them no matter what.